Alright guys, so today we're going to be working on my wife's '07 Liberty. Got a fuel delivery issue. I'm thinking it's the check valve inside the fuel pump. So we're going to replace the fuel pump. But in order to get to that, you got to get into the rear hatch. And I believe in '06 they started putting this hatch in. There's underneath the carpet. So what you got to do is pull off this piece of plastic, okay? Unscrew these guys, which in my case there aren't any screws in, so there's 4 of them. There aren't any screws, so I should just be able to roll the carpet back up and get to that hatch right in the middle. If it's not there, you got to drop the tank. So I'm hoping that this year has the hatch, but if it doesn't, I'll have to drop the tank. So anyways, let's go look at the new fuel pump. It's a whole assembly. You can buy just the pump, but since you got to get in there anyways, it doesn't hurt just to get the whole assembly. I found this guy, the Spectrum, where is it? Right there, Spectrum Premium, $125 on Amazon. I went over to the local auto store, and they wanted $250 for the same model fuel pump assembly. So, and it was the same delivery time. It was a 2-day delivery at both places. So I went with Amazon, half the price. Anyways, let's take a look at it. This is what you have in the box. You got the part that mounts on top, the spring section that allows it to fit in your tank, and then you have the sensor to tell you where your fuel level is on your gas gauge. So it's packed really nice. It's really cool. You got this really nice bubble wrap. So there it is. That's all it is. Now, if you're just going to replace the fuel pump, it's inside this case here. So you're going to have to pull that out of the tank, obviously, and then take these tabs off, and you'll be able to get to it. And then, of course, there's some wiring you'll have to hook up and some other things. But the fuel pump is in this case here. But in my case, I went ahead and got the whole assembly. For some reason this year, or just my model, doesn't have the hatch. You can see the notch, but there's no bolts holding that down so you can take it off. So I'm gonna have to drop the tank. So let me get this cleaned up. I'm gonna go ahead and put some it's kind of like bitchathane, but this is sold at your local hardware store. It's roofing material. It's great for sound deadening. It's actually called peel and seal aluminum, so it doesn't smell. So what I'm going to do is clean up the edges, make it square, fill it back in with this stuff, put the carpet back down, and start from below. Alright, so got my soundproofing back on. I'm just going to roll the carpet back down and start from below. Sucks, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Just move on and see what we have to remove at that point. Alright guys, so in order to get the tank down, a couple things got to happen before you start removing the straps. Number one, you got to get that flathead strap off. I believe it's I want to say number 8 or a flathead. It might even be a 1/4 inch or 5/16. But anyways, you got to pull that strap off, pull the hose off of the tank, and that's your fill valve, okay? And then you got to work on that clip and one more on the passenger side, right there. Okay, those look like to be, I want to say 5/8 bolts maybe. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the strap off of the fill valve, and then I'll get that strap off the tank. But in order to drop the tank, you're gonna want to put a jack under here so you can lower it down. and get to the sensor. So let's go ahead and get going on that. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and support the gas tank so I can get the jack out. And I'm going to raise up the rear end of the vehicle so I can work on it. The reason for that, it's easier to work on it while it's under the vehicle. Unless you can pull that fitting off, which is all plastic and I don't really want to mess with it. So I'm hoping to lift the rear end up enough where I can get the old one out and the new one in. So let's go ahead and get some jacks underneath here. There, guys, so always remember to chock the front wheels, okay, and then find a good spot to put your jack that's not going to crush under load. It looks like someone tried to put it on this thin piece of metal before. But anyways, the trailing arm, the body here, somewhere in there, okay? So at this point, we're going to go ahead and get in the car and pop the hood and disconnect the positive on the battery. So that's a 10 millimeter. So we'll just go ahead and disconnect the battery so we don't get any shorting back there. Okay. Just the positive side, you don't need to do the negative. So at this point, we're going to come back here. And I think I found a good way to remove it. I'm actually going to take and slide the tank towards me, pull it out from underneath the car, and work on it from back here. First things first, though, you're going to want to disconnect those two fittings. Okay, so one's electrical fitting, there's a little plastic clip that holds it, and it looks like the other one is the gas line. And it might have a clip on it that you can just pop off, it might not, so I have to take a look at it when I get on it. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the camera down and see what we can do. Okay, so that little blue clip, if you push it in, you can slide the whole fitting off of that plastic piece right there. And when you put it back on, you should just be able to push it on and it snaps right into place. Okay, so now remember, when you do pull that off, you'll have fuel coming back at you. Don't know how much, but you have some, because depending on when you started the vehicle last, you might have pressure in the line still. So now we just need to get that electrical fitting off, and then I can slide this unit out from underneath the car to work on it. Let's get up underneath here. So I'm not going to be able to pull it out unless I disconnect that right up there. Having troubles disconnecting, so not a problem. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a screwdriver and tap it on this hole right here to relieve these pins, or excuse me, tabs. There's about 5 or 6 of them all the way around the whole thing. And once it relieves, this whole unit will pop right on out. Okay. Okay, so it's popped loose. Gonna go ahead and take this ring off. Okay. And at this point, you can pull the whole unit out. There's going to be gas on it. Okay, but I should have tried to clean around that ring as best possible before I removed the ring, but there's a lot of gunk underneath it, so you're going to want to clean that off before you put it back together. So let me go and set the camera down and see what I can do about cleaning that stuff. Okay, so when you get this unit, this thing is going to be taped on the bottom, okay? You need to put this sensor on this clip down here, okay? But you want to run the wires properly because you don't want them to interfere with this thing moving. In order to do that, there's a groove in the back that you want to run the wire in. That same groove is what connects to this latch here. Now you can do two things here. Two different ways of running it. The original way was actually coming around this way with the wires through this clip into here. They have it around this way. I think I'm going to go ahead and push it through the original way. Okay. So you want to make sure that wire gets pushed down. Obviously you don't want to cut it. Okay. So that will allow it to not interfere with this momentum. Now I can push this in and this wire will be here, but it could get caught up. So I'm going to go ahead and run it through like the original one had. They had it come through here, wrap around this area here. So go ahead and push it on. Now the wires are over here and we'll just latch them there, and now they're out of the way. They might be in the fuel tank over here, but it's not going to interfere with your lever, okay? So when you go ahead and put it back in, you're going to want to lift this up, pull it in, or actually, no, excuse me, you're going to want to tuck it in like this, because you do that, it's not going to come back down. So you're going to want to tuck it in as you drop it down into here and just drop it into place. Now, when I pulled it out, this blue cap has to come off, obviously. That was the fuel valve. It was pointed towards the front driver's wheel. Okay, so you want to make sure you have that same angle, so when you do all your connections, they connect upright, but obviously, so this doesn't hit the side of the tank. Okay, so let's go ahead and get it back into the tank. So you can see how I have it orientated. This is towards that corner of the tank, okay, which that corner of the tank actually goes towards the driver's side wheel. The reason for that is because you want this valve to work properly. So if it's sitting in the car like this, let's try to picture this. Okay, so this is the driver's side, okay? That would be pointed towards the driver's side wheel, okay? The reason for that is the tank is long, both directions, and you want that gas gauge to be able to not interfere with both sides of the tank. You see this tank is long, it's a rectangle, not square, so you want to make sure that goes the length of the tank, not the shortest distance. But a little hard to see right now, but don't forget to put this gasket back in, okay? But you need to make sure you clean out that whole rim so it seats on a smooth ledge, not rough with rocks or whatever else. So I got the straps, I got the bracket, let's see if we can get a better view, locked back in place, okay? Remember, point that towards the driver's side and towards the front wheel. And now let's get this thing slid underneath and see what we have. Alright guys, so I got the tank back up in place. Just gotta get the straps put back on. Make sure you connect your valve again. Let's see if we get a good picture of that. Okay, your fill valve. Make sure it's all the way seated, and then tighten that screw down. So, I'm gonna be done here in a few minutes after I get these straps back on. Alright, so now that I got it strapped back in, I have the positive lead back on the battery. I go ahead and prime the pump, and then we'll go ahead and get it started. Alright, so as you guys can see there, it took a little while to get the fuel back in the line. Once it was back in the line, it started right up.